going on, my friend?
Hey, we're
What's up?
live.
We are live. We are ready to rock. We got all sorts of crazy stuff to get down to, all sorts of crazy topics to talk about. So you know what? Let's get into it. Welcome.
Yes. Welcome to Card.
Calling all retro gamers.
Calling all retro gamers.
Calling all retro gamers.
Calling all
retro gamers.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Calling All Retro Gamers. Basically, it's the ultimate excuse for me and my buddy Ed to just sit back, relax, and talk about some games. So, we got some awesome stuff for you today. Talking a little bit about a key find in the house. And it relates to Neo Geo Pocket. Ed did some really awesome stuff. He did a little tease about some stuff. I actually did a tease on was it Bacon Ice Cream or was it my personal? I don't know, one of them. I did a tease video about this.
Yes.
Did a short. That was pretty cool. So we're gonna get into that in a little bit. We also had we've kind of avoided the topic, but now there's news. So I think we're going to talk about this topic and actually earnestly talk about it. And not only are we going to talk about the topic at hand, right? But I don't know if we're going to have to introduce a new, segment. It's like Rich's soapbox. I don't know what's going to happen. I am
graphic for it.
I am ready to rock.
I
don't know why. I don't know what got into me. I don't know why I want to talk about this so badly, but we're going to talk Amico. We're going to talk about this Amico news.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have something for you.
I just want to give a little disclaimer to people that we do, we welcome all feedback, but constructive feedback, and if people out there just post stupid stuff, just gonna say that this is just gonna happen. You've been warned.
That's it. That is what's happening. And you know what? I am also absolutely rip-roaring ready to go today. You want to know why? Because I'm on the tail end of the craziest day I think I've had at my job in a long time. It's back to school. We had the teachers back in there. All sorts of crazy left hooks, right hooks getting thrown. It's like I've got to be dodging all sorts of crazy stuff. It was nuts. It was an absolutely nuts day. On top of that, there's some crazy stuff going on at the house today. I will go to sleep tonight and wake up and still not have a whole roof on my house because I'm getting a roof replaced as we speak.
Oh wow,
crazy. So that's happening. But I don't know why. And again, I don't know why I have this much energy at 9:30 at night. After the days that I've been having, I worked 3 straight days where I went to work, did a full shift, stayed an hour late, went and got the kids, went home, ate, and then went back to work for another 3-4 hours.
Dang.
Each night. That was my week.
Whew.
That was my whole week.
Wow.
It was nuts.
I thought I was busy from 8 to 5 with back-to-back meetings and people hitting me up on Teams, and then dealing with family stuff too. Yeah, you've got me beat, but I have felt like that. And so before anyone asks, you can see here on my face. Hopefully, it's kind of funny. I was talking with my wife. It's funny. She's like, "Did someone punch you in the face?" Hopefully, I didn't get bit by a spider or something. I like to think because in my sleep I move around a lot, so maybe my face is rubbing. Yeah. But that just creeps me out, knowing I could have been bit by something.
Yeah, no, it happens though, man.
I know.
I've had that. The odd house spider comes in, does a little creepy crawly. It's nuts. I've had that happen. No joke. Anyway.
The one other self plug we have to do for ourselves is the next Calling All Retro Gamers, not this week, but the week after the 15th. Don't forget, because the Geek Historian will be here as a special guest, and I'm excited because his channel has recently started to blow up and all that good stuff. So
he's doing awesome work. We're happy to have Nick. He's a great dude. And also, not right now, even though it is happening right now, so don't go there. But right now, he's hanging out with BHG Gaming over on the BHG Media Group website. He's having a podcast with him tonight, which is pretty cool. So,
nice.
If you want to learn a little bit more about the Geek Story, and besides going to his channel, you can go over and hang out with BHG, and he's always a good time. He does good interviews too. It's really awesome. A lot of those Atari shows that he did, he had a lot of developers. He had music people. Interviewed Megan McDuffie. It was a really good time. But anyway, let's hop into. Oh yeah.
Can I one other friend of the show I just want to talk about?
Yeah, sure.
Real quick before we hop into it.
You got your boy Phoenix.
So, and this is actually more of a quest or involving or a challenge. Should our audience usually accept it? So he did an interesting tweet saying that he's been working on like a channel for a long time, but it's not going to be on YouTube. He hasn't said what it is. He wants people to search it out of a specific interest. So please, I challenge her. Find out what that interest 100%. Is. I'm dying to know what it is.
I'm going to crawl the internet and find this content because that guy he's crazy good.
Yes, or at least what happens.
Stuff is absolutely crazy good at what he does. Yes. And it doesn't matter. I'd watch him be like, you know what? Here are the 10 best ways to cut a lawn. I'd watch that video. I'd watch it.
Yes.
Like I'm not joking because he's so good at editing the content. It just makes it like, he'll have some kind of crazy like space alien come through or whatever. I don't know, whatever.
So that's my challenge for audience, and your crest reward will be our undying gratitude. So
yeah. Well, and if we find it has anything to do with games, I'll feature it. We'll feature it here. We found it. Now go get them. So anyway.
All right, now we can dive into it.
Yeah, now we can dive into it. But first, we're gonna say hi to the chat because the chat is why we're here as well. Thank you to Brian F, Lloyd R. Jim, and of course Ian Hobbies, always hanging out with us on those Thursday nights, which is awesome. What's going on, guys? Hope your day and week has been great. Oh, we said the name Ian Hobbies, and he's fired right back.
Perfect. I have a special summon. So as you guys,
this was a good one.
I'll set it up. So, friend of the shows, one of my favorite YouTubers, Retro Ralph. He was doing a live coffee talk, and it's funny. And I happened to make some comments, and after the comments, so he did this. I didn't ask him to. He just did it.
RetroKillDashNine.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you haven't already, I took that and I extended that into a 15-second short and put it on my channel, which I admit it gets a little bit annoying, but it's
don't listen to it with headphones. That's all I'm
gonna
say.
No, I should have given you that warning. But yeah, it was just cool that he did that. And also I sent him a link to that short. He thought it was funny, which I know Ralph's the kind of person that liked it. So anyway,
that's awesome. Yeah, and I don't know Ralph that well. I really need to just jump in and like interact with him a little more because he seems like a really cool dude, and it was awesome to hang out with him.
Yeah, he's one. I'll say he's one of the very few YouTubers who, by himself, can just like tell stories and talk for over an hour and be interesting. Like he has like that natural charisma.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's definitely a talent that I like. I hope to, as I grow in my, like being on camera attitude, be able to do.
That's awesome.
It's really, really cool.
Spoiler, that's what I'll be using for Evercast Saturday too.
Yeah, there it is. Lloyd R. Jim already asked. He's like, you're gonna use that? Yeah, we're dropping that. Yeah. Dropping that on Saturday for sure.
I would want to use the other one, but I think then like Rich would lose all his subs from Evercast, and then people would ban me. It is really annoying. It is really annoying because I had to watch it to edit it. And the funny thing is, when I looked at the metrics, like 85% of people have watched 85% of it. So I'm like, wow, people have hung in there the whole 15 seconds.
They just wanted to see how long it was going to go. And they'd be like, no, it's going too long now.
I think
goodness. Yeah, maybe they refresh. They're like, I guess. Wait, did my phone freeze?
But talking about our community audiences, because of our community, specifically you, Ian, that would, I swear that would have just been a one-off because I wasn't even aware, but you kept it. Yeah. Actually, him.
I think you're absolutely right, Ian. 100%. Thank you for creating the RetroKillDashNine because it is awesome. It really is. I think it's a blast. I don't know about Pete or Crow whether or not they think it's like cool or not. It is a thing.
Well, I did that once, and then like Pete commented on how he was annoyed, and then Ian kept like saying it because of that. It was a trifecta, so that's what was great. That's what...
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
it really is. And that's like, you know what? It's half the fun. You know, because we got people that come in and they interact with us, and then just say, you know what, like it's that like, you know, it's that friendly ribbing. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's great. Like on what was it, like on Discord, you know, with all the hype that we're going to talk about on Evercast, was from the news Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Forget who it was. I was saying that I was hyped, and someone said that they pictured like a Buddha like playing like an Evercade, going RetroKillDashNine. So you know, it means a lot to me that like our community and our audience pays attention to stuff that we do. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
all right, cool. So
speaking of which,
there he is.
We summoned him.
Are you ready? Are you ready for tomorrow? I'm ready. I'm not going to talk about it yet. Maybe when we get into the wrap up.
Yes.
I want to get into all these things, but
right.
Hopefully Crow's ready. But you know what? Let's just jump into it. Because I've got like a not super hard stop, but I probably have my body will crash stuff. Because I do have to get up early again.
Of course.
So anyway, I just gotta get through this week. Get these kids back in here. Get to school ready already.
Well, don't forget Labor Day. We got 3 days off, so hopefully you do. I mean,
no, not Monday. Monday I'm gonna be looking at spreadsheets. You know, putting together kids' schedules. It's gonna be a nightmare. But anyway,
TPS reports.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the school version of TPS reports. So I found we've seen my Neo Geo Pocket. I've shown this before. And we've also seen my match of the Millennium cartridge, which is
a rare and spendy cart because it's an awesome.
It's a pretty good one. It's the SNK versus Capcom fighter. It's like chibi art, like, and it's great. And I really like the fact that it's like because of the control stick, it's got the rotating clickies instead of like a regular D-pad. It's like a pre-analog stick.
Do you think you would ever? Do you think you? Pocket? Do you think you would ever get that modded?
Like the Neo Geo Pocket? Oh, to put like a TFT in it or something, or backlit. You know what? Maybe, but I don't know. I just like it so much. Like I like it in its original form.
Well, that's why I ask.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything else about it actually it works fine. It plays well, you know, and it has like no library. There was like 24 games or something like that on this thing. And that's it. But it's cool because almost every game, you know, like this is one of those things where it's like, this should be a collection, right? You know, if you could find, you know, see your way through the SNK and Capcom library, like of Doom, you know, like, you know, in licensing and get all this done. I could see basically, you know, a 2-pack 12 and 12, do the entire Neo Geo Pocket library on the Evercade. Why not?
How many?
Why not?
I know they have like, they only have like 1 or 2 collections on the Switch.
Yeah, well then there is one, and that collection already has like, was it 20 of them?
So they have
really missing 5 games or something.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, and then I said, hey, you know what? In a sock drawer somewhere in my house, I've got all these other cartridges, and I named a whole bunch. And we went on price charting, and I was like, "Yo, what's the most expensive game on Neo Geo Pocket Color?" And we found out that game was Falsei, and I was like, "Wait, Falsei? I got Falsei. No way do I have the most expensive game on Neo Geo Pocket. There's no way." And then I went looking for it. This was months ago. I went looking for it, and I couldn't find any of them. None. 0. And I'm like, "Oh man, were they downstairs?" Like, and it's when you start thinking, you're like, did I lose them? Like, oh, come on. And then just the other day, just out of nowhere, I don't know why, but I opened my drawer where I thought it was actually a sock drawer. I opened it up, and I'm like, oh, they're not in here. I'm like, all right, whatever. But I was like, you know what? What if I just moved drawers? And I just opened the next one, which had like, you know, like tie tacks and like, you know, old ties and stuff like that. You know, like the tchotchke stuff, right? In the back of that drawer, sure enough, a row of these things. I saw the plastic case.
We can't see, yeah.
Kind of like the Game Gear. It's the case of a game, right? A Neo Geo Pocket color games.
Oh, okay, that's what you saw from your perspective. Got it.
Yeah. So that's what I saw, and I'm like, oh man, those are the cases. What do we got? So then I started pulling my games, and I had all the games that I ever bought, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the game that's in there is 7. So I own 7 of the 25 Neo Geo Pocket Color games, starting with this guy right here, which is Neo Geo Pocket Color Tennis. Which is not a bad pick. It's pretty neat.
I like how you have the cases for them too.
Yeah. I don't have any of the boxes of the manuals.
That's fine.
Because when I bought them, it wasn't like the thing. I guess people were just like offloading their games. But every time I saw games, they always had these cases. Back in the day when I was going, like on eBay, every single one of them had the case. I'm like,
those look like they're even made better than Game Boy cases. I like that.
Yeah, and these cases are like rock solid. You open up like this. It's kind of like think of like a DV tape. You remember those?
Yes.
Remember like mini DV when you put it in a camcorder or whatever. It looks just like it. They snap close just like that. And then you open it up and then you pull out your cartridge. And they just hang out in there, right? This guy right here is Dark Arms. It's real hard to see because it's a specialized font.
Yeah.
Dark Arms is another cool game. Really neat. Fun to play for sure. Then we get some stuff into like stuff that people know. We've got this. I think this is actually a pack-in. It's a Metal Slug First Mission.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Now is that the same thing as the arcade, or is that a different version?
So it's like the arcade light. Like a Neo Geo Pocket Color was just it couldn't handle most of the stuff that was actually on the arcade in the SNK days. So what they did was they made like kind of like glorified, like like chibi versions, let's say, of most of these games.
But I mean, it's the same. But it's like the same version, just like it's not like what they did like with Sonic and the Game Gear, which is like a different.
Yeah, I mean, some of the levels are a little different, but they're not like drastically different. So,
see, Brian F knows where you're coming from. Yeah,
he has the cases with the manual. Yeah, tossed back into the exactly. Yeah, right.
I'm fine with that. Anything that's cardboard, I would kind of expect. To be tossed. I mean, that's just to be honest. Like if I had my choice of the protective case or the manual, I'd rather have that protective case because then I know my game is good. There's no dust in it. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Yeah.
So, but so then we got another title people recognize. That's Sonic Pocket Adventure.
There we go. Yeah, that was
cool.
Exclusive.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
And this one was really good. I mean, obviously, in order to get this one on a collection, you also need the Sega license because that's how that works. But very cool stuff, and also really nice. It's really fun to play, especially with that like rotating stick thing. It feels. I don't think I've ever played anything like it. Like with
That's
the way the stick is made in this thing.
I love how it's clicky.
It is like it's a D-pad, but it's like like I said, it's a pre-analog stick.
Not only that, man, but that console there, it's like pristine. It's like
it's in really good shape.
Clean. Yeah,
I took really good care. I mean, I bought this when the year I moved back from Florida to New Jersey was the year I bought this, and that was 2000. That was 2000. So I've had this for 22 years, and and it's in rock solid shape. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I see what you. Yeah, and that's always the dilemma. It's like, do I have the better screen or do I keep it pristine, have the super long battery life, and I just need a little bit of sunlight to play it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about playing it, and we can get to that in a second. But yeah, that's the only bummer about this thing, especially playing now in 2022. Everything's all backlit, everything's nice and pretty. Even if you don't have TFT like the original arcade handheld, like it still looks nice because you can play it no matter what. Neo Geo Pocket Color, you're back in the Stone Age where you gotta have, like your flashlight or whatever. So then we got SNK versus Capcom, Card Fighters Clash.
Ooh,
I love this game.
I was gonna say that. I think that's like
a good game.
I want to say that was an exclusive, but I think that's like the fighter that's like the Pocket Color is known for. Like that's a really good.
Yes, the Card Fighters Clash series. There's the so they did SNK versus Capcom and Capcom versus SNK. So there's 2 carts. So I have that one, and then the other one. Yeah, I think the other one actually is the more pricey one. I want to say. The Capcom versus SNK is rare for whatever reason, but not too hard. We can talk about that in a second too. And then of course it's the big boy, and again it confirmed. Yeah, actually that is that game, and I do indeed have that game, and that's Falsei. Right there.
Yeah.
Now this game is also super rad. If I'm not mistaken from remembering from when I played it ages ago, it's one of those kind of tactical strategy RPG kind of things, kind of like steampunky, that kind of stuff. But it's super cool. And again, I think the reason why it's so rare and or expensive, not only is it a good game, but it's uncommon for handhelds. It's one of those games that's out and you're like, what? Like, who would play a game like this on a handheld?
Yeah.
And the answer is, why not, right? You just put it out. But man, did I have fun with that one. But the one that went in the most is the one that's in there now, which is Match of the Millennium. I back in the day, I was a huge fighting game fan, and I will probably go pound for pound. This might be, in my opinion, the Match of the Millennium, the best handheld fighting game I've ever played.
Oh wow!
Just straight up, bar none.
So you know what you could do, and it might be also a future video idea. Since I remember, since you have a Switch, I would say get that collection that has that game on it, and then kind of do a comparison. Like, is there input delay? How does it feel? Or on the brighter screen, how is the nostalgia? But then the bad thing though is after playing that, you're like, dang it, now I have to mod it.
Yeah, right.
Well, and there's always a thing too where you could keep that one pristine. I mean, it would be really expensive, but if you can find one that's already modded, then that way you still keep your original one untouched.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's and that's, they're not crazy expensive. I went on price charting just the other day, and the market's actually taken a little bit of a hit. The collector's market. So there's been a pretty significant dip in prices. So when we last looked, the night we did the Falsei, when we showed it, I want to say that cart price loose was over $300, and I looked it up the other night. It was like 200 something, like 200, even 202 or something like that. That's a huge drop. That's like a 30% drop in price. But even the handheld was pushing 175, 180, and now it's listing 120 something. So
check this out.
Yeah, sure.
So as we always talk about stuff. So on eBay, so here's what's interesting. So here is just the normal console, but look, this one with a full 225. That's actually
it's got the IPS already in there.
Oh wow! Oh dude, you know what? There was a point in time when I swear I can remember seeing this on eBay for like $150.
Wow.
And I'm talking like early 2000s. You know what I mean? Like, I want to say, look at, they made a version of Pac-Man for it, of course. But look at that, 6 games, and that one is still, that's incredible. That's still sealed.
Yeah, that's wild.
Oh, you know what? Of course, you couldn't see me. I hate this stupid screenshot. You couldn't see me zoom it here. I was like, if you think, here, let me just show you.
Yeah.
I hate when you share a Chrome. I don't know why it'll only.
Yeah, it only does the one.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Well, hold on. Yeah, only let me do the one tab. But here, now you can. There we go. See, I was zooming in, and look at that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look. Okay, so look at that. That's a crime. $60 when it retailed at EB Games back in the day.
They're asking $700 or something for it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's nuts. Yep. And Metal Slug, Fatal Fury.
Yeah.
Art of Fighters,
Samurai Showdown 2. Yeah.
Yep. Not bad. I mean, that's a good collection right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so even with that, that other one's still 225. That's not too bad. Full size.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for playing them too, because it's good. It's good to collect, and it's good. I mean, I like the I guess I understand the people that are collecting like sealed stuff, and that's okay, I guess. But the video game space, in my opinion, as far as being a collector, it's like if you're gonna collect them, play them. Put them in.
Yeah,
man, make sure they work. Like that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, you can have all the sealed stuff all day long, and then you're just staring at stuff. You're staring at money.
Exactly. Then there's another one that's $230 that's modified. Wow, someone wants $420 for like the Neo Geo for like the Sonic. So yeah, that's not too bad. But it seems like that's another one for. So it seems like that's the going price around like $230, $250 for an IPS screen. Not too bad.
Wait, somebody wants obscene money for the Sonic game?
Yeah. So hold on. No, not the game. No, not the game. There's a con. Here, check this out. There's an actual Sonic version of this console. I think this one's. Let me share this real quick. I think it's actually sealed in the. There we go. Yeah, Neo Geo Pocket Color console. Maybe it's. Is it sealed? No, it's not. Includes.
Oh, it's just a Neo Geo Pocket and Sonic with the box for $420.
I think so. That's actually really stupid.
Out of the box. It's not even. No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that's a ripoff.
Wait, is the cart even in the box? Or are they just charging you for the cardboard and you don't even get the game?
Neo Geo. Oh, this is the console.
It says console.
And you see the console, but I don't see the game.
I don't see a game in that slot. Buyer beware.
There's more. Well.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay, you do. Okay. So you get it with all the man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But see, I got Sonic right here. I don't just $20. That's crazy. If look good. All right, you know what? We got to do it. Let's go to price charting real quick. Let's go to I could do that. Let's go into price charting. All right.
It helps if I can type right.
Yeah, and then you go video games, Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Pocket Color system. There we go.
Yeah. So you got. Just go to the sort by if you hover over the video games tab on the top, right under where the price charting thing is. Yeah, and then scroll down to Neo Geo, and then go to Neo Geo Pocket Color, and you hit that. There you go. Now now you just scroll down. You're gonna get all the games.
Oh, okay. See, look at that. A complete in box of just the regular system is $128.
Wait, what list is that? That's weird.
And that's fun. Like, it's only a $6 difference. That's kind of
funny.
Why
is your list and my list so different? That's very strange.
I don't know. Dark Arms.
Like, that's weird because you're looking at it's not listed by price. That's why.
Yeah,
go to loose price and then hit the loose price filter. There we go.
Yeah. $200 for that game.
$203. Yeah, loose. So you got Falsei's King of the Heap, Magical Drop Pocket next, and then Sonic Color with Sonic the Hedgehog, 140, whatever. I mean, complete in box, $357, I guess. But there's Pete. What's up, punks? Nice. So yeah, I mean, the list can get completed. Like I said, this is just short. This is a short list, and I've got most of them.
You've got the most, and you've got more of the expensive ones.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Falsei, so I got the big boy. I've got
no way. Look at Pocket Reversey. So look at the loose complete. That's got complete in box, $4,000, and $8,000 new. Are you kidding me?
What? That's crazy.
Pocket.
What did they only have? Like they only made five of them with a box.
Yeah, it's that stupid game. That's Reversey, that board game. Really?
Yeah. I mean, Reversey's cool. I don't know if I want to spend $56 for a cart loose, but there's no way $4,000 for the box.
And even with the manual, $1,000.
That's
the
nuts.
Box, $1,600. Are you kidding me?
Crazy. Absolutely nuts. So yeah, then we got Match of the Millennium, Capcom version, is $52, and the version I have, the SNK version, is $32 for the Card Fighters Clash. So that's all right. Yeah, Pocket Adventure by itself is only $29 loose.
Oh, so
Pocket Tennis Color is more money. Is worth more than Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket.
So check this out. I clicked because there were different regions. They have a version of Cotton Fantastic Nights for it in Japan.
Nice, $700 bucks. So
Ooh. These are actually the Japanese prices are more expensive.
Yeah, I don't know why they're so.
Oh, except for like that. Look, only $45 for.
Yeah, for Falsei. That's weird.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder how you tell the difference. I guess you have to like look at it's like if it says U.S. patent.
And these are now. I just clicked on the Europe prices.
Yeah.
It's kind of wow.
It's pretty cool.
Pac-Man there is expensive, but yeah, need to see. But with all that aside, that's so cool that you found that. So I kind of have a theory that probably at some point you're like, hey. I'm going to put this somewhere safe. I want to keep it protected. And that's why it was like there in the back of the sock drawer. Everything was in the cases. And believe me, it's one of those things you don't want a toddler to get into and open up.
Exactly.
On a breach.
So that was way before I thought that was going to happen. It's just that because everything was so small, I think my opinion was I will lose these if I don't put them somewhere that I know exactly where it is.
You know what?
Yeah, right?
If I decide to collect a complete collection of something, maybe I would go for that.
Neo Geo Pocket Color,
it's doable.
Seven in. What is that? 18 to go. Let's go.
I want to say it's one of those few things with the console and all the games. Like maybe it's $1,000. I don't know. Maybe I'm rounding up, but compared to like other crazy stuff,
right.
I mean that's still a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you were getting them all and you needed to get them all, yeah.
For like the cost of a Steam Deck, you could have.
Yeah, you could have a Neo Geo Pocket Color in all 27.
Probably modded. Put some rechargeable batteries in it, and you're all set.
Nice. But I mean, again, I know it comes up, and it's been in that list. It's in the list in the Discord. But yeah, I mean,
they make a flash cart for that.
The stars need to align. Oh, I mean, who knows? They probably make a flash card for anything. But I will say this though.
You know what? Actually, here, let me just share this because it looks. Oh wow, that looks really really cool. So there is an So check that out. There is an EverDrive.
Oh, for the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
It's out of. I mean, it's out of stock, but
yeah, it's not bad.
MVS. Oh, that's cool. There's an MVS style.
Yeah.
I wonder if it. I bet, and don't forget too. There's the regular, Neo Pocket, and then there's the color.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is it
them all? Yeah.
The Pocket Color screen isn't the best. Pete is right; it's not the best, but it worked for the time. You want to know what the other cool thing about this is? You've got your Neo Geo Pocket, right? And it just so happens to be a shockingly similar size.
Yes. Hey, check this out. So we know there's the black and white and the color. There's also a color slim.
Yeah.
But that's cool though. Yeah, this
would feel like.
I don't know. That's what I'm. But this would play all of them. But yeah, it's around the size of an Evercade cart. So it's like just saying.
So that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm just just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Just tossing it out. Because again, it's another one of those opportunities. You get some of these games licensed, you throw, even if it's 6, throw 6 of them on a cart, $20. Have Falsei be one of them, and be like, yeah, what are you gonna do? You get this one for $20, you get to play Falsei on an Evercade, or are you gonna buy a Neo Geo Pocket Color for $100 and then go get yourself a cart for $2?
Yeah, and then you get an awesome improved screen and save states and all that good stuff.
I'm saying that's a thing. It's a thing that can happen. Because then you get some of these games. Get Card Fighters Clash. Where else are you going to play that? Where else are you going to play Chibi Match in the Millennium? Oh man, if they got that. Oof.
Yeah, and you can play it on the VS too.
The only thing though, I will say
versus on the VS. Play your buddy.
That's true. You could play versus on the VS, but I'm telling you, if they put it might be the one game where I want it, but I don't.
I know. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
oh yeah, we'll give you Match of the Millennium. Here it is. It's on your, now you get to play it on the, the 16 directional D-pad on the Evercade, and you're like, oh, but I missed the stick.
I know, right?
And then it's like, oh, it's ruined.
That's fine because Crow will just he'll take his older He'll take a
Neo Geo Pocket controller apart.
Yes. Yeah,
mod it to play. Yeah, then what'll have to happen is I have to get in a plane, fly out to Crow's laboratory, and then be like, all right, now this has to happen. This is going down.
Yeah.
We're making some modded Evercades or modded Neo Geo Pockets. Where we give me the clicky so I can play.
I love that.
Play Match of the Millennium on this thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So that's good. It's good. It's good stuff. So, all right. I think we're a half hour in. We're just talking about Neo Geo Pocket. so we gotta get into this because again, one, I want to talk about it for a little bit, and then two, I've got that thing I just want to drop because I just you guys can tell me shut up when I get in my soapbox or whatever, but it's fine. So there was an email. The email came out. There was a thing. It told us a tale of maybe woe, but we don't know. Was it woe? Was it not? Right? Let's find out. All right, there it is. There's the email. A whole bunch of people have gone through and talked about this. I'm not going to read it to you because if you've watched any of the other, if you have any clue as to what this device and this picture is, then you've already seen 7 videos of people reading you the email. So there's no real point in doing that. So I'm just going to breeze over, and go over the key points. Key point 1, they're still trying to put this thing together, right? They're still trying to put them together. They're trying to put them on an assembly line. They've got whatever agreement with whatever fab they're working with. And my speculation that it is not in the United States. They're somewhere else doing this. They're trying to put them together. After they put them together, they're starting to actually fab these things. There was some kind of bug that happened in here. It's really confusing. A lot of people read this and think oh yeah, there was just a problem with the controller firmware. But it's really weirdly worded, and inside it actually says it was actually what they call an order of operations issue in them putting it together. So there was that. And it says, it relates to the provisioning of the console on the production line with its unique identifiers and security keys. Now, what that means is because of the way the Amico is going to work, the way the system is going to authorize you to be able to play the games has never been done in the way that it's being done on the system before at all, right? Now, I don't know a whole lot of the stuff. So what's up? Yes, it's Amico, right? I don't know a whole lot of stuff about behind the scenes. I'm not an Intellivision employee. I don't know. I don't have the secret documents. I haven't downloaded the nuclear codes.
You don't?
I'm just speculating here, right? But from what I've gleaned and from what I've heard about technology relating to this thing, it's a cool way of doing an awful thing known as DRM, right? So they're trying to protect their pocket. They're trying to protect the developer. They're trying to protect even the user, from piracy and getting non-signed software and all that kind of stuff, right? So the way they're doing it is key swapping, digital encrypted key swapping between a card you buy in the store, the internet, and your console, right? That's how the handshake works. I don't know exactly how they are doing it. A lot of people have thrown a lot of alphabet soup out there, talking NFC, NFT, which has a huge taint on it, all that kind of stuff. All I know is It's unique. It was something that has never been done before. And when it was explained to me how it works, it's pretty cool. Because what it allows you to do is take the card, whatever. Here. People start freaking out again. Oh no, there's another one.
Hey, so you know what's hilarious about that? Retro Ralph put out a tweet and he showed like I think he still has like all those Amico cards box, and he meant it as a joke, but he's like, should I get this? Should I get these graded?
Yeah, he wants to send them to WADA and get it graded. Do it.
Yeah, I know.
Now, if you're watching, do it. Send one, or find a way to buy one on eBay and send it.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
You know what? I might beat him to it.
Yeah, create a market.
Why not?
Try it.
I mean, but except for why not? Like, it's like, what does it cost? Like $300 to get a grade WADA? Like, get him to grade your game. It's silly. Whatever. I don't know. WADA's another show. That's another show.
I thought if you were willing to wait like 6 months, you could get it done for free. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, the idea is you take your little missile command card, right? And you tap it on your system. And what it does is it passes the number that's actually printed on the back of the card to the system and says, hey, I bought this game. And then the system goes, all right, cool. You bought the game. So we're going to download the game for you, right? And that's like not necessarily, it's just a little more convenient than actually typing in the card on any of the other systems, right? Because you can buy straight up gift cards for a game on Xbox, on PlayStation, on Switch, right? You can buy a code that is the game, right? They've been doing that forever in GameStop. Ever since I worked for GameStop, they've been doing it for almost a decade, right? So that already exists, right? That's not really new. The point that's new is that after you're done with the game, right, the way it's being pitched is you can take the card, right, plug it back, tap it back on your system, and somehow have an encrypted license written back to this card physically. And then I take the card and go to GameStop and trade the card in like I'm trading in a cartridge, right? GameStop gives me ducats for my card, and then they sell the card for more ducats to somebody else. Like, that completely changes the dynamic for digital distribution, right? Because the original distribution model, right, the original distribution for digital games schema is you go buy a game from the digital store, you get it on your console, it's yours forever, you can't do anything with it, you're done, right? You spent the $10.99 or $100 or whatever it is on the limited edition Destiny 2, you've got it, right? And then I'm done with it. I don't want to play it anymore. Well, too bad, you got it. Done, right? That's what that model is now.
You know who would want to utilize, and that's one good thing I hope does come out of the Amico, whether it does or doesn't come out. So there's one company right off the bat I know, actually two companies I know who would fight over that technology, and one of them would be like Valve and like Ubisoft. Because imagine, imagine the Spider-Man remaster, which is a very popular game. You can't tell me that if that was sitting on the shelf, like in a GameStop, and you could open it up and you could get like some manuals, and it was like $60 or $70. That would fly off the shelves, and then if it had that same technology, like imagine like the next iteration of the Steam Deck has that type of reader, and then you could actually like physically trade in games like that. That keeps GameStop in business, dude. That would be incredible. Like that technology that would change.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like you start hearing it explained that way, and you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, that's kind of cool, right? And don't get me wrong, Steam has been playing around with that idea, right? In other than if some catastrophic thing happens, they are still the only digital storefront that allows you to buy a game, play it for a little bit on time limit or whatever, decide you don't like it, and then give it back to them and get money back, right? Like no other storefront does that outside of, again, the crazy, circumstance where the game's just broken or, like jank, Cyberpunk comes to mind. When it originally launched, you buy the game, something's happened, and then everyone tells you, oh, well, here's your stuff back.
And not only that, you can log into a game you got 10 years ago, and it's not, they're not going to pull like a Nintendo, and
right.
you can still play your game and download it. So
right, exactly. So, but long story short, the problem existed in that sense because they're, again, this is untested stuff. It's uncharted territory for a game console. So they're trying to put this thing together. They give the instruction set to the guys at the fab. They fab the thing, and then they go, all right, cool. Everything looked good. They reboot it for the first time, and then all of a sudden this problem shows up. And they're like, well, we've replicated it when we did our handmade models. They all worked fine on reboot after reboot after reboot. And I saw it work. Like, I've seen that particular function of the machine. It does work. You can turn it off, turn it back on, still working. In fact, sometimes in some of the early test games that we were allowed to see that we weren't allowed to necessarily talk about, we were asked just, hey, could you not mention these games exist because we haven't announced them yet? You're like, okay, well, that is a courtesy. Sure. I'm going to, just blow up your spot. But anyway, we saw that stuff work. So that stuff functioned. So it's like, okay, so when they're trying to replicate this on the fab, something got lost in the translation, right? But that's sometimes what happens when you're a small team and you're trying to do stuff. And now you're in a smaller team because, here's 2022, knocking on the door, said hi. It's like, hey, you know me? I'm the year where everything's more expensive, right? And oh, by the way, my buddy 2021 and 2020, they weren't great either because you remember what happened then, right? It's like the vice that small companies got put in, and some of them got crushed so bad that they didn't make it on the other end, right? They didn't come out on the other side of that vice.
So because of this cool new technology and then causing this bug didn't help it, and that's what's caused the delay. But it says that they said that they fixed it.
They did. Yeah.
Okay,
so the good
good
news about
That's
this
good.
whole paragraph is, with that resolved, the path is clear to finish the pilot run in the next few weeks. Okay, cool. And a lot of people saw that in the next few weeks thing because, did they use that exact same sentence the last time they had an update, which was almost 6 months ago? Yes. Yeah, they sure did. And very similar wording. And the last update was 3 months, before that. Yes. Yeah. So the people that are, a little more critical about this thing, they got an eye out. Yeah. Okay. It's been taking them a little bit, but hold on to that, guys, just for a little bit. We're going to finish this thing. And then we're going to the soapbox. So I gotta say this.
We'll probably go past the top of the hour, which is fine.
So and
you're fired up. You're not going to pass out.
But you know what? I have to get this out. I have to just get this out, and then we can close out the show and do whatever. Because I got to go to bed. I got to go back in tomorrow and face a spreadsheet that I don't want to see. It's whatever. So then, okay, so they signed a licensing deal. Brutally honest bacon ice cream. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm not here with a hammer. I'm not trying to whack anyone at the company. I'm just trying to say like, look, this is what it is, right? This is reality, right? Anyway, so they signed a licensing deal with BBG, right? It's the same entertainment group that has a production company that is working on Dynablaster and Brain Duel, right? Which are two titles that I had in my hand. I was going to shoot a video and then something happened. The technical difficulties happened. I was going to shoot it actually while I was at work on, was it Tuesday night or whatever the day the news dropped. And it didn't happen. I actually left the games at work. Whatever. It's fine. Spoiler alert, if you see me doing a reaction video tomorrow for the Evercade EXP announcement, I will actually place those two games in the background just for you guys. Little cameo Easter egg for you guys. Anyway, they said that they're pleased to announce 4 Amico games and the original game versions for Intellivision have been licensed by BBG. So why would they license more games? Because, well, they're gonna put out more games, which is cool, right? It's a pretty good time, right? That's good. That's a good thing. What are they gonna do? They're gonna take those games and they're gonna get those 4 licensed games on Amico, and then they're going to put them on other consoles because it's part of the deal, right? And the reason why they're doing that is because, well, again, and we're going to get to the soapbox, man. Be ready for it, guys. They need money to continue to create all of the stuff, right?
Of course.
You know? So, and the reason why that happens, you know, is because, again, they're a small company, right? You know, they did a lot of research and development. They spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money on things that, you know, was every one of those dollars spent, you know, a wise dollar? I don't know. You know, small companies make a lot of mistakes sometimes. You know, sometimes they make some errors. You know, they put out some money and they're like, hey, you know what? This is going to be a good investment because we're going to have X, Y, Z savings later on down the line. And then the economy crushes them because the thing that they bought was, you know, would have been great if they could get the other things after that cheaper, but they couldn't because circumstances changed. And then it blows up your spot, right? Happens to a lot of companies, right? Anyway, so it's cool, right? It means more, you know, all this whole thing means is there's more games and there's more games coming and the more games are going to go to a different place. Like the Switch or maybe an Atari VCS, who knows, right? Or an Evercade, who knows, right? You know, maybe Blaze in the back pocket's got some crazy deals going on with Phil and team. Who knows, right? Probably not. But anyway, they're going to other places, and this company's going to take them there, right? Could be Xbox, PlayStation, all that stuff, right? Good. Steam, sure. Why not? Mobile, why not, right? Because, you know, the half the technology on the Amico controller is analogous to a mobile device anyway. So, you know, Android, iOS, sure. You know, and if that happens, if people were asking, I'd buy all of them day one, all of them. You know, because I played most of the ones that are up here on the shelf. I already played them. So no matter what it is, I want to play the games. So if you give me an opportunity, like, oh, well, you know, the iOS version is going to come out 3 months before the Amico version, and they confirm that the Amico's happening. They show the pictures and you see the box, whatever. Do I not buy the iOS version because I'm going to wait for the Amico? No. I'm the guy that buys both of them. You know, and that's just me. So you want to know where I'm coming from, that's where I'm at. So anyway, so we got another partnership deal after that with a different company they have not announced with for another 2 games to be multi-plat, right? So they say that these are the most anticipated IPs for Amico, and they're going to go multiple platforms. Now, in my opinion, as far as those games go, it's probably Night Stalker and Cloudy Mountain they're talking about because, to be honest, I don't think there was any other hype or as much hype about any other title for the Intellivision Amico, maybe outside of Astro Smash, but Astro Smash is a pack-in. So if you're interested in Amico, why are you going to buy that one anywhere else, right? You know, unless you're the guy that's just going to spend money because you're going to spend money.
So question for you on that, Rich. So we know, like, you know, Atari with all the recharged games have been coming out, you know, and doing fairly well. It sounds like they might do the same, you know, they might do the same thing, like release Cloudy Mountain, Night Stalker, like put it on Steam, PS4. Those I would be interested in. That would be nice. And I'm sure those would probably play. I'm sure those would probably play pretty well too with analog control. I mean, they'd have to modify them, but that would be awesome because
100%. You know, and you know what? And for those of us that don't want Amico, right? They don't want to get the console. They just want to play that game. And maybe Night Stalker and Cloudy Mountain are the only 2 games that they ever wanted to play because they're more of the core audience type of game. Then who cares? Why not? Just do it.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
You get the revenue from the people that aren't going to buy your console anyway, and you use that to generate more consoles to get to the people that you want to buy your console, right? Because you got to feed the R&D machine, right? Because R&D never stops. You know, like even after production, you're still doing research and development for your next platform update, for, you know, additional features you want to put in the console. All that stuff costs time and money. So again, that box that I'm going to stand on, it's coming soon.
But you know what though? So I do give, I mean, maybe it's a little bit late in the game, but you know, better than never. I do give Amico credit realizing that, hey, we don't have to have just this for this console. You know, we can kind of do like with the Atari VCS, you know, like, there's like this version of the game will be more specialized for our controls, but hey, we're going to put it out on these other platforms. Why not? Let's get that revenue. And like you said, what you talked about, like I'm that customer that, yes, I'd like to play those games. I'd like to play a few select games and not have to get the console. So that's perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, so they got these things coming out, and that's going to be great. And
what's the rub? I know you're getting to that. Like,
yeah. So I've been seeding some stuff, right? And then the email ends with, thank yous, and like the reason why we're doing all this is because there's going to be a super limited supply of Amicos once they get all that testing done, and they can produce some. They're not going to be able to produce a whole bunch. It's going to be a small amount, and it's frighteningly vague in the email wording, where it's like, is it going to be all of the founders and the VIPs? Is it going to be just the founders? Is it going to be a subset of the founder? No one knows. No one
better
knows
be. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, I bet that's your soapbox. That's what I was going to say.
In my opinion, it's got to be all 2,600 of the founders editions.
Yes,
at least that's minimum.
That's what I was going to say.
Get all 2,600 founders to the people that had initially pre-ordered the founders edition. Then that's it. Don't do them, right? Because if it's a subset of them, then like why does order number 2027 mean less than order 21? Like in my opinion, because like it's just because you gotta get if you're doing one, you got to do all of that one SKU. Right.
Yes.
And I'm sure they know that, and I'm sure that's what they're gonna do. But
don't pull a Polymega. Like everybody who was a founder that contributed. Seriously, they should.
But that's a good analog though, because there are people that pre-ordered before and after and during this whole thing that are still waiting for their Polymega, and there's Polymegas out in the wild right now.
Yeah.
Some of the founders have gotten theirs. Almost all of the founders have gotten theirs. So like they've gotten their checkbox for. We did our, I think it was an Indiegogo or whatever. Like we got our checkbox for that, but I'm still waiting on a pre-order that's over a year and a half old, and I don't have mine. Like I'd like it, and I've paid for it. That was paid in full though. It wasn't even a pre-order, right? Like I paid for that in full. Well, my wife did. It was my birthday / Christmas present, but still,
yeah.
Like I'm still waiting for it, and then again, that's out, that's alive. No one's talking about that kind of stuff. Whatever, it's fine. Right before I jump onto the soapbox, though, right, to kind of like bring in the point where I'm talking about research and development and small companies and expectations, especially from people that are super critical of Intellivision and some of the smaller companies of late, Atari. I was looking at your Pitfall shirt. Atari, or even Blaze, and that kind of thing, right? And I think there's a good point to be had when you're trying to compare it to like the big three. So anyway, I wanted to address this question here from Crow. Crow, I can almost guarantee, like in a very large virtual money bet, that I know the answer to this question, but I can't say anything about the actual answer because it might contain information, and I know it contains information that has not been made public. But it's
I can speculate since I know nothing.
You can speculate away.
So here's would be the easiest way. Mm-hmm. I would like to think that because so when I traded in my my GameCube games and stuff like a while back to Game Over Games, they had a Wii. They booted them. They put in the games and made sure that they boot up. Would it not be crazy to say that they would have an Amico console there and they could tap it and they could see if the game is on it? Like they wouldn't even need a special device. They could just have a console there and take a few seconds.
They wouldn't even need that.
Oh, okay.
And they already have every store in that company has exactly the device that would be able to tell whether or not the key is on that card or not, and a way to authenticate it. And maybe that is all I can say.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But the technology exists already in GameStop. The infrastructure is there to do the check. There just needs to be one tie-in and that's a digital tie-in that has an internet component on it, and that's where that for me to like explain more would probably be getting me in.
Yeah, don't do that. There you go. Or like other like private, like mom and pop retro stores that they could just have a console or there's some technology. There's a doodad, right? There's a doodad.
There's a way.
Yeah.
There is a way, for sure. 100%. All right, cool. So that's the letter. Like say what you want, feel what you want, all that kind of stuff, right? So then so a lot of people sometimes in the detractor side, right, say things like, oh, well, you guys got $17 million, right? It's a large number. And what do you guys do with it, right? You got nothing. You got no systems, no games. You wasted all this thing. No one's getting anything, and everyone's all mad. Everybody's got the sads because we don't have our console. And it's, you know what? In a grand scheme of things, in consumer land, that's probably a correct view if you didn't know some other things, right? So I'm going to just throw some things out there, right? So $17 million, again, a lot of money. How much do you think Nintendo spent in fiscal 2012 in R&D?
I'm gonna say 100 million. That's just a wild guess because it's
100 million.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's totally. I mean, and again, that's software and hardware and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, $100 million.
Yeah,
totally a fair thing, right? Their spend in fiscal 2012 was $642 million. That's R&D only. Now, yes, it was for when they were starting Switch and Wii U and Amiibo and all that other stuff, right? They're a huge company, multi-billion dollar company. But they spent $642 million, right? So again, when you start to like laser in the comparisons between a company like Nintendo, a company like Sony, and a company like Microsoft, and then a company like Atari or Intellivision, there is a wide gap right there, right? You got to put these things into focus sometimes.
Well, yeah, look at all those products. There's the Amiibos, there's an NES Classic.
Yeah. And even if you itemized all of these, right? 527 million, the kid fixed toys. Brilliant.
That's great.
Brilliantly said, bro. Like, cause it's like they got a lot of money, man. They spent a lot to try to be on the edge to make sure that they were competing with their competitors and putting in a better product than them. And this is big boy money. This is what you spend when you want to be big boy money, right? When you want to be the guy. You got to spend this money to be the guy, right? Now it's $17 million, right? Back then it was Reggie Fils-Aimé. He'd be like, "Oh, here, 17 mil. Here you go. There it is. Go see what you can do with that. Maybe it'll get you a game." And these guys here in the independent space are trying to build a console, and at times 20 plus games. So it's the console and a controller that's never been in existence and 20 something games, right? 17 mil total spend. And Nintendo in 2012, without inflation, spent $642 million. All right. So, but we're not done yet.
Oh, and Crow, Nintendo don't gonna fix that. Sorry. had to say. So yeah, when you compare, it's like 17 million. Well, I mean, yes, to every average person, that's a ton of money. But when you're comparing the situation, that really isn't that much to. That really isn't much to work with because you have all the games for the Amico, you have the console, you have the technology, and you know what? And maybe that was the problem. Maybe, it sounds like maybe they didn't have enough money to begin with, and they were just trying to kind of scrape by. I mean, again, we're not financial experts, but that's kind of a different way to to look at it.
Exactly. So then you go on stuff like this, right? So talking about new technology, right? So let's go all the way back to the PS3 generation, right?
Yeah, hold that thought, Mike. I think that's kind of a mental question I've been asking
we'll get to
myself.
That. We'll get to that. Yeah, it's an excellent question. So, so you got something like Sony, right? Sony teamed up on the PlayStation 3 era with two other companies, Toshiba and IBM, to create the cell processor that wound up being the core of the PlayStation 3, right? Now, this is back in the aughts, right? As this was happening. You know, it's tail end of the PS2 generation. You know, we're still, this is older technology, right? How much do you think they spent to put the cell together?
Okay.
R&D. That's three companies.
So we're talking about like the mid to late 90s, right?
Yeah.
So early 90s. So I'm gonna say they spent $100 million back then.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that would be like the equivalent to what Nintendo spent now.
All right.
So that's what that's.
You ready?
Yes.
You ready for this?
It's gonna be like $1 billion.
So Toshiba, IBM, and Sony committed themselves to spending $400 million to develop the cell processor alone.
Oh.
That became the core of the PlayStation 3.
Okay. Well, from that number, it wasn't too far off because about 500 million. Yeah.
So again, sometimes when you're making things that don't exist it doesn't exist, right? These things have not existed. Pieces of technology that will interact with each other in ways that has not been done before. Sometimes that costs money, and not just little money. It costs big boy money in order to make the things happen, right?
I see where you're going. So it's not like with Amico, what they could have done is they could have taken let's say Chinese knockoff handheld or console. Let's say that would be perfectly capable of running the games. Put let's say standard controllers, and they could have developed it from there. They used existing technology. That would have been totally different. So yeah, and this way they're making everything from the. But I think in this day, so I get totally where in this day and age, I think that gets lost because people just kind of expect you snap your fingers and it's there, right? Like they don't see all the R&D that they created something new. Yes, maybe they used older hardware, of course, but that doesn't mean that you didn't have to create something from the ground up.
Correct.
Correct.
So again, so this goes back to Mike Garcia's point, which is a great point, great question. How much did they spend on R&D? I mean, I could assure you that Blaze and Panic probably spent way less on R&D, and especially way less even maybe than Intellivision, maybe even less than Atari did on the Atari VCS, right? But the reason why is because Panic's R&D was design aesthetic for existing hardware with existing things that just had a unique setting that just needed a driver to make sure that they could use a specific different input in order to make their games work, right? So how do you do the crank thing and make that a cool mechanism for inputting into your game, right? But everything else about the Playdate is something that can be mass produced yesterday, right? And can keep going. Now their digital distribution model also is really cool. So maybe their R&D was a little bit higher because they needed to figure out server technology and making sure that you were going to get your games auto downloaded at a certain time. That those handshakes with servers, that stuff costs money even to serve and store all that data. So maybe the price tag was a little more, and certainly more than they want to admit. They're a private company. They don't have to. They don't have to tell you what it is.
So, well, you know what?
Blaze doesn't have to tell you how much it costs to make both handhelds and the VS either.
Well, so I can tell you why Blaze is successful, and actually, so their secret is they just kept Ryan just chained in the basement, like he wasn't allowed to go out until
he's R&D.
Okay, now I can laugh.
He is R&D.
No, but seriously though, he's posted. I think the key, and kind of going back to Blaze, is that I think sometimes I think what can be successful is if you have the right team, and you have the right talent. Like Blaze has had other people do testing, like Evercade Info, what's Deadlock, he's one of the beta. So there's beta testers like him that do that, and then you have your core people like Sean, who handles all the marketing and whatever else he does. He probably does 20 other things, and Sean. So I think if you have like the right individuals and a passion and they can just grind and they have a specific skill set, and you take 5 or 6 of those people and put them together. And I would also mention too that with Blaze, like they didn't say, hey, we have to come out with the perfect handheld. Like, literally what they did is they just said, what is the minimum bare spec handheld that's good quality that people will tolerate, that's like better than a Chinese knockoff. Yeah, the screen won't be perfect. You have to look at it dead on, but what could we do? And they hit that price point. Now, if they were charging like $200 or $300 for the handheld and $50, then they wouldn't be. But that's kind of the thing too, is like, know your quality, know your price point, get an interest, and then now we come out with the EXP. Then it's like come out with version 2. Just get the product. I think the first thing is get the product out there. And to your point, the play date, it's like, yeah, basically they just had to decide, what can we make for quality? How can we have the battery life? And then for them, all their delivery is digital, so that
Yeah. And to this point too, for Mark Garcia, it's almost like thank you, because that's almost the perfect lead in for the last thing, and I'll get off my soapbox. Is about the controller, right? So how much do companies spend on R&D for a controller, right? This is a controller. Like you figure like Microsoft, they knocked it out of the park with their design on the Xbox. They had the big guy that made it a little smaller because people liked it. On the Xbox 360, maybe they changed a couple little things around, made it a little rounder. The Xbox One, they changed it a little more and made it a little rounder. And now Xbox Series console is basically an Xbox One controller, because I think they've refined it to the point where I think everyone's accepted that the Xbox One controller is probably it, right? To the point where other companies said, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's just do it. Right? This is the Atari VCS modern controller. It's an Xbox controller. It's just an Xbox controller, right? With a different D-pad. So, to that end, all right, R&D. How much do you spend to make a controller? What do you think? R&D.
Like how much do we think? Like Microsoft probably spent?
Yeah, Microsoft. Let's go with Microsoft. How much did Microsoft spend to make the Xbox One controller? R&D.
At least several hundreds of thousands of millions. I want to say.
Yeah. So it's maybe not that, but it was $100 million.
Okay.
There's $100 million in R&D for the controller to get it right. That's Microsoft.
You know what though? Because we don't get to see that. And actually, like Valve with the Steam Deck, there's like some book or whatever where like they showed like all the different iterations and the different stages. And I think people don't realize that you have to pay. You have to pay your testers. They get benefits in the seller like everyone else. You have to pay for your molding. So especially if you want like unique moldings, they probably have to pay every single time for that injection molding. And
Yeah, I mean, how many iterations you got to go through to get it right?
And then the people program
Microsoft's
it.
Got, all of the money, so they can just keep going, right, until they get it right. And that's why you wind up with a quality product like the Xbox One gamepad. I like it. I miss my my Titanfall Xbox One controller. Like I love that thing. I played that more often than not. I used that controller than any of the Atari VCS controllers that I had when I had my original Atari VCS. So I use that, like, again, more than anything. But like I said, that stuff's not cheap.
Hey, I think Pete kind of summed up it well. Yeah.
And you come down to, like, here they are now, right? What are they doing now? Like, well, how can you look with a critical lens at what Intellivision is doing now? That's a valid point from Pete. Bit off way more than he could chew. Hubris and ego went a long way. And he calls it a tire fire. Okay, that's fine. And you know what? Someone like me can see that, but you know what? I can also see the vision, right? Because I met some of these people. I met some of these people in person. I talked to them in person, right? It's different. It's different than when you're seeing them on a Zoom call, right? Because I've been in personnel for a long time. I worked retail for 19 years, and there was one thing that I learned about interpersonal communication is if you're in front of somebody and you're talking to them and you say something, if you're looking for a specific response, you can probably get it by saying specific things in specific ways. And if you don't get it, you don't get an outright, crazy reaction, at least you get like a hint, like a micro expression, if you will. And you can kind of tell. Now, I can tell you that I looked no less than 3 Intellivision employees directly in the face, talking to them about this thing. And the only thing that I got back was they were as hyped as the people that were there. They were excited about this thing, which goes to show me that they really believed in it, right? Now, sometimes, though, that belief, that faith in your own ability can get you into trouble. And maybe that's what the real key here is on Intellivision's journey. They had a lot of people that were so passionate, hyper passionate, that they pushed and pushed and pushed. And the answers became, well, someone in the money land is telling us we don't have enough money to finish this project. But I'm going to tell them I can find the money by generating the energy. And that's when you start leaning into those skis, and maybe you're looking down, you're like, oh, am I over them? Maybe. But sometimes that confidence is so powerful, it can push you into success. So what are you going to do when you're in that position? Are you going to roll the die and see what happens and maybe you fall? Or are you going to pull back? But if you've already started and you're already that exciting, you're already that hype, it's hard. It's hard to pull back.
Then you're like, you might as well see it through. And then, yeah. So
right. But unfortunately that winds up, being the case, right? And that's why we're here. That's why we're getting updates from a new CEO, and it's a different kind of journey. The information that we're getting isn't as hype filled and energetic, but in the end, it could very well be, nothing that anyone thought it was going to be, but it was going to be something. Something will come of this. I'm almost positive of that. Like if I was going to be, percentage wise, I would say there is a greater than 80% chance that something happens. Now, I don't know if that means that I get my founders, but I certainly don't know whether or not that means that everybody's happy. But something is going to happen. And I think it's going to wind up being at least we get to play, a handful, if not all of the games that are on my shelf on something.
Yeah.
That will happen.
That's a fair statement.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
And Pete again is right. I mean, this is a valid concern from a consumer. Until they produce my units, they're no different from Polymega. Deserve everybody the criticism they get. Yeah, and you know what? That's fair. And a lot of people have gone to many places. As it may or may not be known. Like I administrate the Intellivision Facebook group on Facebook. I know it happens, but there's a difference between criticism and then like just outright like annoyance, right? Yeah, you can say that you're annoyed and you like show me and all that kind of stuff, but anytime literally any news drops, right, and that's the exact same thing you say over and over and over and over again, it's like, dude, man, come on.
But there is one other thing that I do want to talk. And Billy, I'm not saying Amico is a saint, but here's the other thing too, and it kind of falls into this whole pre-order culture, and it's not unique to Amico. Mm-hmm. If you give money for any product that there isn't proof that it's out yet, and then you don't get the product, you're disappointed. Mm-hmm. Like, but have the buyer beware. Like that's one thing. Right. That's your own fault. Which is 100%. As much as that sucks. Not saying that wipes the slate clean for any of these companies, but I think the problem is that because people are willing to give and to pre-order so quickly, then it's become the norm. So right. you know what I mean. And so yep. I kind of hate that. Like again, everything always leads back to Evercade.
And it's true. I mean, some people feel burned like that.
Yeah, but that's like the only like for me, like I want to say like with Blaze, I pre-ordered because we knew they were gonna have a physical product. They had pictures. They already had a proof of concept. So to your point, coming into a brand new company like this, yes, that's kind of like let the buyer beware. Now, here's one cool thing that I think Amico could do to make their current customers happy. Like for people like yourself who bought those game packs or whatever. And let's say if those same games do end up coming out on a Switch or PS, I think if you paid for those copies, you should have the option to get a code. Kind of like while you're waiting for the Amico. I think if you bought those copies, you should get a free code, and then when hopefully when it does or doesn't come out, you should still get to play it. But that would be kind of nice.
That's a really awesome goodwill gesture. That's excellent.
Like how they'll do that with Steam 100%. Keys, like it wouldn't cost them anything. And so the other clarification, so yes, like maybe was there overhype or anything else? So I mean, Rich talked to the one term I hate when people say like something is a scam, because if you define and again I have no I don't have a dog in this fight, but like a scam is when somebody deliberately tries to rip you off of money and like has no intention on delivering the product and service. Like I don't believe at all that was ever going to be like Amigos, and like they did want to come out with a console and everything else. Like could there have been overhype? Could there be hubris? Maybe misinformation, of course, but they didn't intend to come out with it wasn't going to be like the Amico Chameleon where they were just going to like take people's money and they have like a Super Nintendo or something. No, they didn't intend to come out with it. So.
Yeah, and this and this you're Pete with the mistruths and spins. I mean, you're right, but in my opinion, there's a difference between objectively seeing some of the statements that happened as mistruths and spins, and mistaking it for passion, right? And it's a mistake. No question. It's a mistake by the speaker, not by the hearer, right? Not by the person that hears it, because passion will blind you, often, right? And I think that is what was. Honestly, I believe that is what's happening here.
Yeah.
There are people at that company that were so darn passionate about this thing. They would say almost anything because all they wanted to do was keep that steam engine going on that hype train, right? And if they could keep and they were like, and again, it wasn't just even Tommy. There's a lot of people there that worked at the company that were good at throwing coal in that fire. They were excellent at building that hype, but again, it's hype that wind up becoming the snowball, right? And again, not everyone, including Pete, you'll take a look at that and be like, oh, well, I can see that as, when I look at that as a consumer, I look at all that all that hype and all that push. Again, I've been in retail for 19 years. I can see a salesman coming a mile away. And when you're throwing sales tactics at me, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm still hype. At least if I'm hype about the product or I'm hype about the vision, I'm with you until the end. But all of the rest of the stuff that you're throwing at me, I'm not jumping. Like, come on, man. I'm not, I can see it. I can see all that, right? And it's like, oh yeah, there's gonna be all this kind of crazy stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, that's back pocket, marketing speak for, okay, well, putting that right in there, I'll believe that when I see it, and that's what people need. Like, you need to always have. It's not Intellivision or Sony or Nintendo, wherever. It's life. When people are coming at you and they're so darn hype about something and they keep saying things and it keeps getting more and more and more positive. Like, come on, you got to see that is the marketing coming at you, right? Even though they say like, oh, the marketing's not, okay. The marketing didn't start yet. Whatever. You're talking about the thing. You're hyping it up. You want people to come and spend money with you. You're representing the company. Of course, you are marketing. That's it. That's what happens. So, but yeah, I mean, another good point from Pete. He's got 15 pre-orders since the Amico. Every one of them, with the exception of Pie Packer, which I'm also a backer of, has arrived at the door all during the pandemic. There you have it. Okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
That's fine.
I forgot about that device. I forgot
yeah,
that
the
was
Pie Readers. I'm still waiting for the Pie Readers.
I forgot that was still a thing. I think the hype for that has died way down. Like I forgot that.
Well, because the Pie Readers didn't come out, and then they changed their name to Jam.gg.
That's a whole other show.
Yes. That's another show.
Yes.
So, but that's it. Yeah, I mean, yes, they were in sell mode. They needed money. Yes, they needed the money to finish the R&D. And maybe this is the point. And maybe in the end, they just needed to be a little more honest about that part. From the jump. Like, we need to do this because there's so much other things that we want to do. We want to put into this thing. We want everyone to be a part of the magic of building this console. But we need this money because it costs so much money to build something like this. And it's an almost unfathomable amounts of money in order to make this thing happen. So when people look at that $17 million figure and be like, oh, well, you can do that at 17. Yeah, okay. We just talked about it. There's no way you can do it at $17 million.
I think the other issue, because I think you mentioned they'd kind of gotten a lot of money to fund it. It's gonna like those of you who watch Shark Tank, like they always say, like, people usually who are just given money versus those who are like really scrappy in the beginning. Then maybe it wasn't invested or spent as wise, and that sounds like what it could have happened. And I think the problem is at some point, when they said, hey, let's go with the console, like there wasn't, because they were too passionate, there wasn't a check put in place to say, hey, could we just maybe release the game on a few existing consoles and see if there's a market? So it's like, I get because of the passion they skipped that step, but at least they're there now. But that's, no one kind of checked that. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of money to play with, and then here's where we are. So it's interesting, right? Like it's an interesting thing. But I do hope at least all the founders get, they do end up releasing this thing. Everyone or no one should get it. I agree.
Exactly. And in the end, here I am with over encumbrance as far as pre-order money. A lot of people know that I've got multiple units pre-ordered. They got my money. And it's like, but at this point, I'm not telling them. I'm not calling up Intellivision support like, oh, you know what, I need those, couple $100 back, 3, 4, whatever I have, I need it. No, I'm in this. Let's go. Let's do it. Make or break. Done.
Yeah.
However, I will say this. I will say this though, right? I will say this. No matter what they do, because they have those licensing deals, some money is going to come in, right? If they cannot produce physical consoles, if they come to the end and the ride is over, everyone gets off the train, and it's just not happening. No one's getting it. No one's getting a founder.
Oh,
and they better send those checks back out. And that's all I'm saying.
You know what? I forgot about that. Yeah, good point, Peter. Yeah, I forgot how they had like all those different offices. And, yeah.
Well, but in future speculation, and it's in their documents. It's in their investment documents. Why do you open 4 offices on 3 continents and you have all those people and you start making all these games and you start pushing? Is because they knew that $17 million wasn't going to cut it and they needed more. But the only reason this is the snowball, right? If you can create the snowball and the snowball keeps moving and the hype train is going and it's pushing it, right? Before the sun comes in and melts your snowball, you got to find somebody that is looking at that power that's pushing that snowball and be like, oh, I want to add to the snowball by putting corporate money in, right? That's what they were trying to get to in the last thing. That last thing right before when they did the start engine, which I think that they should have scrapped that whole thing to begin with, and not even done that. They should have just went to whatever the next step was, which is what they went to next, which was going to that corporate reorg, going to the corporate reorg to then go look at the hype we have in all this, right? If you can give us, if you jump in here, it's going to cost, we're already at 17 million. It's probably going to cost 20 million to get them out the door. Let's do this, and then find somebody that's a true fab company that goes, oh yeah, sure, let's sign a deal, let's get this done, whatever. They believe in it. That would have been cool. But the problem is, if we go all the way back, hindsight being 2020, I think the sun that melted the snowball was the start engine campaign itself.
So this is why, and I'll try to say this politely, that as gamers in general is kind of a silly group of people, because it's kind of like we always say, we want this now, we want this fixed, and then someone comes up with a solution, and then and then the community it's almost like the community that wants this thing to look like, let's say. It's kind of almost like if the only way that, let's say, Amico could live on, and that's what it seems is come with the game for a Switch, they'd rather have it die. I mean, that's what?
And I think Pete is because specifically it was Nintendo, because the reason why the other, and this is speculation about people that we may know in person, may not, and it's like, whatever. I'm not getting into personal beef. I don't care about any of that stuff. But I'm just saying, with that, that's an excellent point about putting that stuff on other consoles, because it's exactly where they are now. Whether or not they wanted to be here, here they are. But 100%, reactions like that from the community is just why.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like you take someone like Pete, like all of us, who's passionate, has a YouTube channel, and it's like, hey guys, let's do this to save it, and then that same community like turns their back on him. I mean, that's why I said that's silly, and I'm being polite. Like really, that's I mean, as a group of calling all retro gamers, we need to be more flexible and let people play games and share ideas the way they want to, because like him having that idea, like it isn't hurting anybody. Like that's the whole crazy thing. Like, old grown men getting so upset over these plastics. It's like, come on. But
thank you for hitting that nail on the head.
People are allowed to have their thoughts and opinions. You don't have to like their opinions, but nobody should. For me, and I think that's where I draw the line, is when someone tries to take that enjoyment away from someone else, or just try to like ruin their experience. Like, come on. Like, come on, people. We're better than that. That's all. Exactly. That's my soapbox.
100%. And you know what? That is a perfect way to cap off this discussion about this. Now, what's going to happen next? Who the heck knows? No one knows. I don't know if Intellivision knows, other than the fact that they just signed those deals. So let's hope that stuff comes to fruition. Let's hope the testing, whatever they're going to do when the production run goes well. And then let's hope that BBG Entertainment deal is lucrative enough to get them to put money in and get that stuff out. Right. And that's where we're at. What's up, bro?
Really gamer.
And yeah, I mean, and again, for you, Pete, that's it, man. Sometimes that's it, and you weren't alone, man. You weren't alone. There are people that walked away at the first delay. People more walked away at the second, and here we are, right? And no harm, man. Like for me, it's like, okay, well, you don't want the thing anymore. Okay, whatever. Let's pound it. Let's pound it out, right? That's it. That's cool. But for me, it's like, again, I put my money in ages ago. I forgot about it. It's there. It's in the ether. If I ever get the email saying, hey, you want to give us the extra, $200, sure. Because at that point, I'm so curious. I just want it, but that's just me. That's just me. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, like in Relic's guy is Brutus too. Yeah, it's whatever. But anyway, so before anything goes longer than this, it's 10:50 p.m. EST here. I gotta get to sleep. I gotta do some stuff. I have to work, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into some final thoughts to wrap up. Some people were asking some questions. I don't know, man. I don't know if I agree with you, Pete, on that. We can agree to disagree. I don't know, because I held it. I held that thing in my hand, and it's not the same.
That's a whole other. If we had another hour,
that's another. Yeah, that's another soapbox. But I'm telling you, man, it's not the same.
I was like, don't get it.
But yeah. Are any of you doing a live reaction show to the XP tomorrow? Great segue. Thanks, Lloyd. If I can, I will. I'm sure Pete will. I'm sure Crow will. And what about this guy?
Yeah, maybe not live, but I think at least during a lunch I can put out to do definitely a reaction video, because those are always so much fun. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I remember you getting heat for that. I thought that was silly, but but you know what? Even back then, they were like, well, it's Bluetooth, so if someone writes a third-party codec, it's not like we're not going to support it. And then, like, who cares, right? But I'm telling you, just like this, just like I don't want to play Card Fighter, Match of the Millennium on anything but this because I like this. I'm telling you, it's different.
Oh, yeah. Control is king. Yeah, yes.
Yes. When it'll be early in the Evercade world, that's the speculation right there.
Oh, I think it's going to be
speculation, but I think you might be right.
Because what if the next two carts are slated for November? So I think we're going to be.
But remember what Ian said last Saturday. He already got his email for the thing.
Yes. Yeah. So. Yes.
So yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't expect that you did. Come on, Pete. I know you. You're gonna collect it. Come on, man. Of course you're gonna.
You got Pete all fired up.
If Pete was on fire, it was a great talk. You should have been on here, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what. Yeah, I know. That's
we were talking on this chat all along. Whatever. That's a fail. That's a me fail right there. I should have just dropped you a link. So anyway, so yeah, we're gonna do some stuff. Evercast is gonna be awesome on Saturday. Do not miss that show. It's gonna be great. Keep your eyeballs peeled. If you're into this thing, if you're into the Evercade, tomorrow is gonna be awesome. It drops, like I said, 8 a.m. EST.
Yep.
Pete's gonna be up at 6 in the morning. 7. No, is it 5? Is it 5 in the morning, Pete? You're gonna be up watching that? Oh man.
Yeah, because it's 7. Yeah, because he's 2 hours behind me central, and it's 7. Yeah, 7 a.m.
It's 5 a.m. That's too early.
Listen, I'm just tweet. I'm just as excited as everyone else, but you know what? I don't have to get up, that early. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm already gonna be up, but it's spreadsheet. Like I said, it's spreadsheet time. So hopefully I can get that video watched. It's short. I can do a quick thing and then I'm gonna do it.
I'm hoping it's a 5-minute or less announcement. I really am.
Right, stay sneaker. Glad you were watching from the sidelines. Thanks for being here. But yeah, so all right, cool. So that's pretty much it. I don't think we got anything else. But that was way longer than I thought it was going to be too. That was an awesome discussion, though, guys. I thought it was.
You had a lot to say, a lot to get out.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. If you guys thought it was really cool too, like hit me up down below in the comments or whatever. I promise that I'll try to check them because I keep forgetting that this is a thing that I can check on my phone now.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up, like, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you stumbled in here and you're not subscribed to us, we're almost to 100 subs. And
that's right. Yeah, hit the button. If you stumbled upon the Amico land because you saw it in the title and you wound up watching this thing and you're here now, that means we got you. So you better hit that red button. And we'll see you next time. We got another guest. We got Nick, Geeks with Cash, Geek Storian. Next time,
the 15th,
September 15th. Yep. Be there, be square. It's all good. New Lord of the Rings. Tonight at midnight, I guess, right? It's the 2nd, technically.
Yeah,
man. Be there. Be watching that thing. You got old school Galadriel. Let's go. I'm into it.
Speaking of old thing, again, this will be another show, another time. I've been watching that the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. That has been fantastic. That's all I'll say. And HBO Max. Cool. That's all.
It's out now. Let's go. Oh. Let's go. 5 a.m. All right, guys. All right. Well, we got to get out of here. Thanks again so much. This was awesome.
Yes.
Catch you later. See you guys.
Bye-bye.